Hello and welcome back, Josh, Sam, and anyone else who's watching, to the final episode of Lviv and Let Die. It's confirmed. I have got the achievement. You can't see it, but I'm looking at it now. Why am I not looking at it now? There it is. Club legend. You've stayed at one club for 20 seasons. We have been at Lviv since the 2056-57 season. I think, or it might be 57-58 season. Let's just check. Let's go to Lviv. I don't know why I've gone off of it. Lviv, history, landmarks. No, let's not do that. Let's do this one. We joined on the 24th of June 2057 as a nothing manager. Nothing had happened, and it was a long journey since then to get to where we are now. We started off in the second division, as you will well remember, I'm sure, all the way back in that time. Which year did I say we started? 2057. So I think our first year in charge, fucking hell, let's just go, it must have been the 2057-58 is our first season in charge. The season before, they finished in 13th down in the second division, 11 wins, 10 draws, 13 losses. Our first season saw us climb to 5th, 17 wins, 4 drosses and 13 laws, leaving us on 55 points, missing out behind Stal, Bukovina, Tavria and Zirka. We then moved on the next season and again finished 5th, but a little bit of an improvement, 18 wins, less losses, 61 points, enough the season before to have come up in 2nd, but this year we still end up in 5th, a strong year for Tavria, Arsenal, Kiev, Govela and Niva Vinnytsia. The third season, we do, however, finish champions. We go up with 21 wins, 9 draws and 4 losses, 72 points, enough to see us into the Premier League for the first time. The season before we come up, Shakhtar and Karpaty chase the title. Arsenal come back down again, so do Alexandria. If you remember, I was concerned that being as Arsenal was so good last season, that we would have to do something very special to stay up. Luckily, though, our fears were unfounded, or at least my fears were unfounded. We come up into the Premier League and take it by storm. We go 5th in our first season, 16 wins, 5 draws and 9 losses, seeing us qualify for Europe, where we crash out at the first stage the next season. We also regress slightly in terms of our league standings. We finish 9th that year, 11 wins, 13 losses, 6 draws. And it's just about stabilisation at that point. We go then on to... Hang on, let me just open something else. We go then on to the next season where we stay about the same. We finish in 9th again. That is the first year where we are... we're really starting to stabilise in the top division now, making ourselves a fixture. Masha just tried to come in but didn't. Which is nice of her. So then for our 4th season in the league, we do start to see some improvement. We go up to 7th, 13 wins, 7 losses. We draw a lot of games that season and we don't manage to get into Europe, although it was only 1 or 2 wins more and we would have got there. We're now starting to get on to the point where we do begin to win things. So speaking of winning things, we win the league for the first time. We go one better than, quite a lot better than last time. We improve by 18 points and we take the championship away from the perennial champions Shakhtar Donetsk. We win that league, 67 points. We get only 3 losses, 7 draws. Score 51 goals, 21 against, leaving us with a good goal difference. We do, however, lose out in the Super Cup to Chornomorets Odessa, who, despite winning the cup, do end up relegated. We then move on to the next season where we regress a little bit. The Champions League run that we have possibly contributing to some poor form at the beginning of the season, meaning that we only end up in 4th position come the end of the year. But we do win our first FA Cup and we also win the Super Cup this year, beating Shakhtar, kicking off a run of 7 wins in 7 years for us in that competition. So now we've been at the club at this point for nearly a decade, and we then retain the title, or we regain the title. Another strong season. In fact, at that point, pretty much a record-breaking season for any club winning the league. We're getting up to really good territory now. Shakhtar, who are always champions, they get 73. The year after, we get 72. That's not bad. We come up and we win again. We also win the Cup and we win the Super Cup. So our first domestic treble appears in this season. And then from then on we go from strength to strength. So the next year we go almost unbeaten. We lose out one single game and we win the league with 79 points. At that point, that is a record. We again win a treble, and we don't do anything particularly interesting in Europe, however. At this point, that's pretty much the way it goes. We lose 3 games in the next season, but we still end up with a treble. We go... Is that true? Yes. No. Yes, it is true. Sorry, I've gone on too far. Sorry, we lose 3 games, and actually we drop points. We drop the title for the first time in a while to Krivbas Kryvyi, winning their second or possibly third ever title. They go on a ridiculous run in the second half of the season. We don't lose since I think September in that year, but we still do not manage to win the title. Dropped points in one of those games could have turned that round into a title win for us, but you see that we're starting to pile home the goals, 92 in total as we chase down Krivbas, but unfortunately we're unable to. We do, however, win the Cup, and the next year we win the Super Cup again over Krivbas to prove that we are the best team. Speaking of the best team, we then go on to regain our title, and in a dominant fashion. We don't go unbeaten yet, but we do win 26 of our games and set a new points total of 80. But it's nothing new for us at this point. Winning the league is pretty much standard. However, the next year something really special happens. We do not go undefeated. We do, however, win the Cup. We win the league. We lose the Super Cup to Krivbas, but we win the Champions League in this season. We win the Champions League over Real Madrid in the final, a turgid final really, and won entirely on momentum, you have to think, considering what happened afterwards. But yes, that's our crowning glory that season. We do really, really well. The next year we go on to be undefeated in the league for the first time. 97 points, 84 points overall. 97 goals, 84 points overall, and we're doing very, very nicely at this stage. We're really on a roll. We win the Club World Championship. We lose the Super Cup to FC Copenhagen. But we are now on a run of league wins that will not be relinquished under my management. We continue on, continually winning things. In the 73-74 season, sorry, the 72-73 season, we lose the Cup dominance. It goes to Karpaty Lviv, but then we regain it in the next year as we continue to go undefeated. We're in fact living through there a 132-game unbeaten streak before we lose out to newcomers Krim Teplice in 2075. In that season we again win the treble. We don't get close to the Champions League title, though. We are going through a run of terribly unlucky performances in the quarters and the round of 16 here, as I think we go out to the eventual winners a number of times. Anyway, we then in 2076 win the league again. We lose the Cup in the third round to Volyn of the division below us. We don't go undefeated either. We have a truly terrible season in terms of domestic form, where we go back to losing 2, drawing 2. 2074-75 is at this point the yardstick. 85 points, 1 loss, 1 draw. It's the best anyone's ever done. Until we get to 2076-77, where we win every game except for one, which is a draw against Olympic Donetsk. We get 88 points, a league record that is obviously still standing, as that's where we are now. And we get to the semi-finals of the Champions League, where again we are defeated by Real Madrid this time, in kind of agonising fashion. They deserve to win, but that's where we end. With 20 years in charge, we've won a number of titles. 11 league titles, 9 FA Cups, 11 Super Cups, and 1 Champions League and 1 Club World Championship, making us probably the most successful international team from Ukraine. We're not the domestic holders of anything yet. Donetsk and Dynamo Kiev still have more league championships and FA Cups and Super Cups than us, but they do have the sort of bonus of having been the big teams in the league for the last 70 years. So yeah, that's the story of how we've got to where we are now. We can go through some of our history and look at some of our best players. So maybe let's go to the best 11 and see what they say our overall best 11 is. We see here that we've got up front the legend Daniel Rosic, 265 goals in 329 games. He was a real player for us, a very, very strong presence in the team. Signed him for free. He now plays for Leicester in the Premier League. There's also Haris Planinsek up there, 148 goals in 201 games. Strangely beating out Ivan Merino, who has 150 in 167 games. So he's a much better scoring record. I'm not sure quite why Planinsek is in there, although he did have the most productive single season, where I think he got 42 or 43. Other clearly legendary players in the side there. Santiago Maya, 211 appearances for the club. You've got Zayan Ashkenazi with his 228 appearances. They've all got a lot of appearances. Kofi Donkel, maybe not so many, but he has been a genuine talent. Big Mick, of course, and you've got to think Lashagog was in there. He is, 301 appearances for him. He's the third highest appearance maker at the moment. Musa Kurt just behind him, and actually rapidly chasing down Daniel Rosic's record, assuming he doesn't get sold once we leave. And yeah, just a genuinely really, really good side. You've also got there Zamayakin. I'm not sure why he's in there. He's a goalkeeper who must have been around for us for a few years. Yeah, is he a goalkeeper? Yeah, he was. Oh, it's conceded, not scored. I was going to say he scored 168 goals. Jesus. Zamayakin, I'm not sure quite why he's in there, but I mean, you've got to have two, I suppose. Badani, a player that we signed from Dynamo Kiev. He's come in and done very well. Galushkin, a player from way back in the day. He was our star player of the first couple of years when we were in the second division. He was our very creative midfielder, retired at 40 and now is out of the game. But yeah, a good player. Surprised that he's still in there, really, considering we've got a lot of other players who are much better. But yeah, well done him. Artur Bellinger, the French-Spanish player who's still going over in Saudi Arabia. There's also Van Merino, who I've mentioned, Jean Kamara, who had a very strong career with us before leaving for Krivbas for £8.5 million. Probably a player that we shouldn't have sold in hindsight, but there we go. He was a real talent when we brought him in, and we made a lot of money on him. But yeah, definitely shouldn't have sold him. And Abdou Koulibaly, a player who is now a youth coach at Steaua Bucharest. He only played for us for 3 seasons, but he got a lot of goals, got a lot of assists, got a lot of appearances before moving on to the perennial Romanian champions. A good player. Surprised that he's still in this group now, to be honest. Let's go back to that first season that we took charge and see who was playing. This is the team that can't be the team that we played, can it? Oh, but it doesn't use my formation. It just uses what it thinks is the best formation, I think. So yeah, we have here... What the hell is this? Why is this doing this? Okay, I don't know why it's setting up like that, because we didn't play like that at all. But that's... yeah, that's apparently the team we played with. Mikhail Makaradze. There was also... So they've lost their nicknames, which is what happens when they retire, which makes it kind of hard to work out who was who, because there were a couple of players who had strange nicknames that I'd given them, so we might not remember them. But yeah, Zamayakin, Malafayev. There's a few other players here. Lapushenko, who I think I recognise. Drozdov we definitely had. Generalov was really good. We sold him too early. That's the team that finished 5th. Maybe if I do that, I can just be 100% true. This is the team that we then next season finished 5th as well. The reason it's doing this, I think, is because Galushkin is technically an attacking midfielder, so it's putting him in attacking midfield rather than playing him where he did for us, which was on the left. This is definitely more a team that I recognise. Eremea, Alexander Aramea, I think. Oh, he's still around. He's a scout. We sold him for a lot of money after one game, I think. I remember rightly. So yeah, he went on to actually have a pretty decent career. In fact, he was still playing not too long ago for Cluj. Decent young player. Didn't seem to fulfill any kind of improvement really, but there we go. Shalai as well, a player who retired quite young, it seems. Played okay for us in one season. We sold him on, and then he didn't ever sort of meet the heights that maybe he should have done. Boris Levchuk, another player who did okay for us over a couple of years. Let's just see if there's anyone else interesting in here that we remember. Frank Aurier, he actually was a good player. Sold him on to Dinamo Bar-Noal, who then let him retire at 26, which seems crazy because he was a good player. We then can move on. If there's anyone interesting here, I don't really think there is. This is our first year in the top flight. We had a good side. Asan Indai, a player who really lit the world alight for us for his brief spell with us. We sold him on to Alanya, then he finished his career in Stade Rennais in France. And yeah, Ricardo Figueroa, another heroic figure from back then, scored a lot of goals for us in 2 seasons, but then we sold him on to Kaunas. Anyone else interesting there? Not really. So that's basically where we are now. We're a very good side. Okay, so it says it's Sergei Gromov's team. He's still around. Surprising. He wasn't ever actually... Oh, he was manager of them for that year. But okay, fine. So that is his team. That's why we can't recognise half of them. He left after being told to go to allow us there. So yeah, that's basically where we are. In the meantime, France have won pretty much everything internationally. And so now the plan is to decide where we're going to go next. I've decided it's either going to be, depending on when the leagues refresh and we get the new teams in the Italian bottom division and the Spanish bottom division, either UA Cognac in France or Red Star 93 in France, San Marino in Italy or potentially Pordenone in Italy, depending on if they actually get promoted, and if we can, FC Badalona in Spanish League bottom or Spain. We'll see what we can do about that. So I'll write to you guys on WhatsApp and you guys can help me decide. This has been a review of FC Lviv, and we can now do what we all know is coming. No, we can't because I don't know how to actually do it. We're going to retire Ben Wheatland. So there it is, it's done. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I shouldn't have done it like that. Okay, well anyway, there it is, it's done. If I could edit this, I would go back and resign so that we could have seen what happened. But never mind. See you later, guys. Bye.